Making moves. Good morning. Tuesday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. How are you guys today? Tim Vest, what's up, man? You looking like you're back in your office now, and you're back at home. You're back in your happy place. How's it feel?
It feels really good, man. I love to travel, absolutely love to travel, but I was ready to get back. I got to say, 2.5 weeks, Seattle to San Diego. That was a long time to be on the road, but I'm back at home in my own bed with my own pillows, and I'm a happy guy.
Yeah, I bet. Well, hey, we got a special guest with us today, Brighton Godwin. I met him at the DM event last week. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? The DM event in where was it? Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah.
I was just standing in line at the bar, and I started talking to Brighton over here, and I was just absolutely blown away by what he's accomplished. Brighton's only 25 years old, multimillionaire. He's bought a ton of multifamily units, single family units, and if I remember correctly, no investors too. Like, you own all of these 100% yourself. Is that right?
So I do have a couple of partners on some of the properties, but most of the portfolio is actually owned just by myself.
Right, right. And I was shocked, man. Like I really had no idea like you were that in depth with what you had going on in your real estate business. So why don't you give everybody a quick intro of who you are, what you're doing, where you're coming from, let everybody know kind of who Brighton is.
Yeah. So definitely, like you said, I'm 25. I've been in real estate for about 5 years now. I bought my first house when I was 20. Just doing a little bit of house hacking, and then I wanted to start my own real estate investment company. I started my first investment company when I was about 21 with one of my best friends. That didn't really work out, and so I actually became a mortgage broker. And so I did mortgage brokering for loans for about 3.5 years. At this point, is how long I've been doing that. And so now I specialize with helping other investors with getting financing for their real estate deals, and then went full time investing in real estate myself in January of last year. And so that's pretty much been the timeline, and I've pretty much gone all in. So
I
yeah.
love it. I love it, man. So obviously, the one of the most notable things is your age, right? I'm
Yeah.
not that much older than you. I'm going to be 32 in about 2 weeks. And what are some of the things that you've come across? Because there might be some listeners out there, or some people that are watching this live, or maybe watching it later. There's people out there that might be on the younger age, younger scale of the spectrum. What are some diversities that you've had to overcome, and some limiting beliefs and mindsets and things that really, like, everyone says, oh, I can't do this because I don't have money, or I'm too young, or I don't have connections. Like, how did you overcome all of these mountain obstacles that were in your path?
That's a great question. So for me, a lot of times whenever I hear no, it actually kind of puts another log in the fire. Makes me want to go find a yes that much more intensely. And so, every time a bank said no on doing a loan with me, every time people were not interested in working with me because of my age, it just was it drove me to try to find that yes that much harder. So I'm just that personality type that very driven, ambitious, and don't really take no for an answer. So that's definitely one of my best attributes. My mom used to tell me like I was a fly on the wall, and I just was so persistent. I wouldn't take no for an answer, and so just I guess part of the personality.
Yeah, man, Bright. That's an awesome trait to have, man. Tim and I know a couple of guys, or a couple actually. We met them at an event a couple months back now. Um, and that's one of the same things I heard from them, right? Like, they were telling their story, and they just kept talking about, I just didn't take no. I just didn't take no. I'd go over here and I'd wait till I got a yes. And even when they get a no, they go back to the same person that got them a no, gave them a no, and they'd end up getting a yes. So that's an awesome trait to have, man. Just that persistence is incredible.
Yeah, for sure. It'll definitely get you far.
Yeah, no kidding. So Tim and I are actually working on a couple of yeses right now as well for a deal that we have. We've heard a couple of no's, but
we've gotten a lot of no's lately. There's been some turmoil in the lending markets, and it's been rather difficult. So it's definitely pushing our patience and definitely testing us out right now on a couple different deals that we have going. So absolutely understand where you're going at with that.
Yeah, it sounds like we needed to meet Bright a while back, man. Like maybe this lending stuff would be going a little bit better.
Yeah. So, Bright, why don't you tell us, like, how did you come across your first deal? Like, what made you want to get into real estate? I mean, what are some of those triggers there that made you realize at such a young age, 20 years old, that you were not going to go out to the bars and party when you turn 21, but you're going to, work on real estate and invest in yourself and all those types of things?
Yeah. So, my dad's been a contractor my whole life. So I grew up pretty much on the job site, going around checking on jobs. I was a little kid riding around in the back seat, walking around on the 2x4s on the job site. Well, I probably shouldn't have been. And so I've been in and around construction my whole life. I started working for my dad for like $10 an hour from the time I could pick up a hammer, just doing, cleanup and demo work on different jobs. And so I used to remember hearing him talk to the owners of the properties. And I remember one conversation as it was at a strip mall, and the guy was talking about how he bought this property and for, $750,000 cash, and it's worth about 1.3 million, and him and his partner are going to split whatever amount profit. And I just remember I looked up from sweeping the blacktop parking lot in 102-degree heat, and hearing this conversation, and I was looking at myself. I was like, how do I get, like, we're both at the same property, and I'm here sweeping parking lots for $10 an hour, and he's here talking about making $500,000 profit doing this deal. How do I want to be in his position, not my position. And so pretty much from that day forward, I made the decision that, like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to not be the guy sweeping the parking lot for $10 an hour and be the guy buying the building.
Amazing.
That was huge motivation for me. I never went to college, so I've been pretty much a serial entrepreneur since high school. I started my first business when I was 18, and it was like a luxury car detailing business, doing, show cars and show trucks, wash and wax, stuff like that. And then from there, when I was, right out of high school, I was actually got a job at AT&T as a cable technician. I installed internet and cable for about 4 years right out of high school. And while I was working at AT&T, I bought my first house. That's the one I started house hacking. And as soon as I started shopping for that house, when I got pre-approved, instead of shopping for a house to live in as a primary resident, I had the mindset that I was shopping for my first rental property. And so it was a mindset of, okay, this is going to be a place that I live in and fix up for the next maybe year or two, I think was the plan. And then I was going to buy another one and keep it as rental. And so, I just had that mindset really going in, was I was going to start small with single family, house hack, and, get a couple small rentals and then pretty much grow from there. And so that, that's pretty much how it all started, was just trying to, do that first single family deal. And then once I went full time, I found my first off market multifamily property and got into multifamily a lot sooner than I thought I'd be able to, especially in my 20s. So,
where do you live again? I don't remember where you said.
Yeah, I live in Oklahoma City. So
right.
Here, never lived in it.
Oh,
there sorry. Notifications popping up.
Busy guy.
Yeah, busy guy. It's because you're hustling all the time, man.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City, good market, man.
Yeah.
And I don't worry about sweeping the parking lots because my dad was a contractor as well. But the only difference was the owners of the buildings were like my grandfather and his two brothers. So it was like, it come from an Italian family up in New England, and it's always keep the money in the family, okay? So they had one uncle's an HVAC guy, another uncle's an electrician, another one's a plumber. My dad was like kind of a handyman contractor guy who would do everything in between. So, I didn't get paid $10 an hour. I'd get paid like $5 or $10 a day. And I'd be the one carrying the demo buckets up and down the stairs for my dad. He would rip out a wall, and I'd have to bring it downstairs to the dumpster. And man, that quickly made me not want to be in construction. So it's amazing though, because it's almost a similar story. So I relate to it very heavily. But it's what pushed me to go to college, because nobody in my family had been to college before. It's like, I don't want to do that. That sucks. So I'm going to go do this. When everyone is glamorizing to be like the is all end all of, go to school, get a good job, work for the corporation and work your way up the ladder. And I did just that. And then I realized, I was like, wait a second, this isn't in either. And that's when I made that pivot into commercial real estate. So, I love your story, man, because it's just honest, right? At the end of the day, there's no secret sauce. There's a light switch moment, like a click moment here that happened, and you're just like, man, I want to be like that guy. I don't want to be doing this anymore. And then I assume all you had to do was surround yourself with people that were doing things like that, whether it was your dad or like that owner of the building. You had access to talk to people like that, but you surround yourself with good people, and they change your mindset and your framework of like what you should be doing and trying to accomplish. So who's the person that kind of put you down the path of the first single family house is not going to be for you to live in, it's going to be a rental property? Because like that, typically that doesn't just happen on its own. Usually there's some kind of insight or guidance. Was it like a podcast or a book or a family member? How did that happen?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think back. I want to say it was probably the owner of that building that I was sweeping parking lots for. He actually became one of my first, what I would consider my first real estate mentors. And so I remember him telling me that's the same way he got started too. He was in the Navy. Whenever he got back from, where he was at on tour, he ended up coming back, buying a house just to live in, fix it up, did all that same path that we went down. And so I think he's probably one of the first ones that made me realize that like it's actually possible to. I don't think he went to college, and so that was a big thing for me was, if I don't go to college, I'm not going to be successful. And like you're saying, that's what kind of drilling our.
I was sold. I drank that Kool-Aid, that's for sure.
Yep. Yeah. So he was probably one of the first ones I made. And he's a little crazy, just like any entrepreneur is. And so I was like, man, if he can do it, I know I could do it for sure. And so that's probably what set me down that path with that first single family. And then there was another guy, a real estate mentor. He actually was the one that convinced me to sell that first single family house that I house hacked. I was, like I mentioned, was always planning to keep it as a rental, and was probably a little emotionally attached to the idea of keeping that asset. And he told me something that a wise investor once told him, which was every asset should be for sale all the time for the right price. And so you shouldn't just try to keep assets just because you should keep them. You should be doing it strategically. So if you need to sell one asset, maybe like the single family that I was trying to sell that propelled me into the 65 doors that I've got right now, you should sell that single family to buy the duplex, sell the duplex to buy the quadplex. Always, scale up, grow up. And so he kind of pushed me to, sell the first single family, which I was really scared because I had, kind of created that identity for myself as I'm a real estate investor. This was the one asset that I had. And so I felt like if I sell this asset, I'm not a real estate investor anymore. Like I don't even have a property. How can I say I'm a real estate investor? And so, but I mean, it exponentially grew, where I was at, in my investing career, whenever I finally took the leap and just went ahead and sold it, made a little chunk of money and reinvested that, probably 10 times over at this point.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I agree with you so much, right? Because I mean, I don't want to bring it back to myself again, but I'm going through the same thing, right? I told you when I met you, I'm in the process of selling my first investment property that I bought was a small condo. And that condo is why I got into commercial real estate. And I've done like podcasts about like that moment that made me switch from single family to multifamily, right? And then whatever. So I was definitely emotionally attached to this deal because I was like, oh, I'm a collector of real estate. I'm never going to sell anything. But then I had this opportunity come along to buy a 24-unit apartment complex, and I needed some capital. So then I started looking at this deal, and I got, like $100,000 in equity, and I'm only making like 4% return on equity. I was like, oh, okay. My financial brain is, okay, time to roll that money forward into something bigger and better. And exactly like what you started 5 years ago, I started maybe a year ago now, right? So it's kind of rolling that money forward and continue to grow and scale and grow and scale and grow and scale. Because, this 24-unit apartment complex, buying it for 900, be worth like 1.4. Then I got to sell it and move up into the next, if I can get into a, 24, go into a 32 or a 48 or whatever, continue to grow and scale. And I think that, and this is just my opinion here, and shoot me down if I'm wrong here, but I think that a lot of people say, don't sell those assets, don't sell any assets, because they assume you're going to go out and buy a Lamborghini with the money instead of rolling forward into something else.
Right. Exactly.
So what's next for you? So we learned about your beginnings and how you kind of adapted and overcome like the mindset and the change, and you really focused on exactly what you wanted to do. You bought a couple I think you said a 6-unit, an 8-unit, a 24-unit. You got a bunch of different stuff. What's next for you? What do you see your future as?
So really for the next 6 months, right now, what I'm working on is stabilizing, some of the portfolio, some of these big projects I've taken on here in the last few months. And so I'm working on, restructuring and reorganizing some stuff right now. I'm still buying, but I've got so much going on that I'm trying to mainly focus on, handling what I've got on my plate right now. And then I have plans for the beginning of 2023 I'm looking at potentially starting, going down the path of starting my own real estate fund, doing some sort of a real estate hedge fund, probably like a turnkey rental type of service. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to for next year, and getting into some bigger opportunities there. Be able to collect private money on a little bit more secure platform. I think will be nice, having a fund. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm looking forward to for next year.
Right.
Hey, right. That's awesome. Hey, I love this comment here that the interviewer hates the young kid who's, I don't hate him personally. I don't hate him. I don't know about Vitaly. I just wish Bright would go back to 22-year-old me and like grab me off the keg stand and slap me around a little bit. Be like, hey, asshole, like you could be doing better than this.
Yeah.
I just have this image of you doing a keg stand now at NC.
It's not pretty. It's not pretty.
Now I know where you actually lived.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus, that's funny. Yeah, it's I don't know who JT is, but it's quite the opposite. The reason that Bright is on this show is because I respect him so much, and and I want to help him any way that I can, because we have a very big network of people, and he's done things that I've never done before. So it's not that I hate anybody. I'm just spreading this guy's knowledge, right? I mean, he's done something that most people can never even do when they're 50, and he's 25, right? So it comes from the utmost respect. There's no hate here. So
yeah, absolutely, Tim. I think you're hitting it on the nose, right? Like Bright, we got a guy in our Making Moves group. His name's Drew, who's similar, around your same age, and he's actually, I think he's a little bit younger than you, but he's kick and tell too, man. And I just want to fist bump him all the time. I'm like, I love success like that.
I do
absolutely love to celebrate that kind of stuff, man. Those wins are awesome.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's incredible, and that's why that's why I wanted you to talk about how you overcame the adversities, because there's so many reasons why people say, "Oh, I can't do this. I'm too young. I don't have enough money. I don't have connections." But like, clearly, none of that's true, right? I mean, with your story alone, and you're not the only one that has this story. I mean, there's so many people out there that have the story, and the more people that know about it, I think is inspiring. And that's all that we can hope to do by hosting these shows, is hopefully to inspire somebody else to go out there and take action. Because at the end of the day, it's just taking action, right? It's taking one step towards your goal, no matter what it is. And when you get a no, you just keep working towards getting that yes and finding more options, and not just rolling over and giving up.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that's definitely goes without being said that there's definitely something with, my generation for sure with just, a lot of people it doesn't seem like there's much drive or work ethic. And so, what I'm here basically trying to show, people my age is that it's possible. Like if you just work really hard towards something that you want in life, like, whether it is going to college and getting, becoming a doctor or a lawyer, or whether it's becoming a real estate investor or going to start your own business, like, if you just put in the work and stay focused on your goals, then, you can pretty much do anything. So that's definitely something I preach to most people my age, and they're asking how I've done it, how'd you do it? And I'm like, you just put the blinders on and you just work really hard. And the next thing you know, you look up and, you're pretty much there, or you're getting closer to where you want to be, and you just keep working. So
right.
Really what it's down to is work ethic, hard work, and persistence.
Yeah, Bright. I'm glad you brought up I'm glad you mentioned the age thing, because I'll admit, I'm in my I'm in my late 40s, so it's, I'm one of those Gen Xers that looks at everybody and just flips them off, right? So yeah, exactly. We have a whole genre of music that like speaks to us, right? But man, like seriously, like I for a little while, right? You look at millennials and people younger, and you're kind of like, what's this mindset? But really, like once you get to like dive into it and you get to know it, it's like it's really kind of just folks saying, hey, I deserve better, and I'm going to go out and get it. And I appreciate it. I have a strong appreciation for it now. I really do. And I think you hit on every single bit of it. It's like mentorship, mindset, hustle. Like you're throwing the hustle in there as well, and you're just going out and getting it. And by the way, folks, put the blinders on. I love it. Because, Tim, how many folks do we know that's like they get into this for like 3 or 4 months, nothing happens. They're like, I'm done.
Even the hardest thing for me when I made the commitment to start in real estate, because I was like, this job at my W-2 is not going to get me where I want to go. I was like, this is not the vehicle that I need to get to where I want to go. And I basically had to like stop playing golf with my buddies and stop going to the breweries and stop hanging out with everybody, because I was working from 5 a.m. till 8, and then from 8 to 6 at my day job. And then I'd work till 5, 10, 11 o'clock at night doing networking events and meeting people and underwriting deals. I mean, because I wanted it so bad that nothing else mattered. So I put the horse blinders on and I just focused on that. And I probably lost some friends through it, and that's okay, right? Because your past friends don't dictate your future, right? So it's surround yourself with people that surround yourself with people that are doing what you want to be doing. And that's exactly what I did, exactly what you did, exactly what Tim Vest did. I mean, that's how we even met, was because he was part of a mastermind group that I was interested in being a part of. So, mentorship and coaching, all of that is so incredibly important. And then going to these events, like, I mean, you and I have a different type of relationship because we just randomly met in the bar line, and we were just talking, and I was so inspired by your story. I was like, dude, I have a Facebook group, like I want you to come on and tell everyone your story, because it's so powerful that everyone should hear it, because limiting beliefs and mindset are the number one reasons people quit, right? And there's so many reasons, and you can think of so many excuses why a 20-year-old would never be successful. So many. Right. I mean, hell, I thought of them myself, right, at the end of the day. But, I'm so glad that you're here telling us about what you're doing. So we learned about what's next. So how can people help you? Like, what are you looking for? How are you looking to grow? What are you putting out to the community right now?
Yeah. So, man, right now, I've been really just focusing on scaling my mortgage lending business. I have 4 processors working full time on handling all the back end work that comes along with doing commercial loans. So right now I'm really just looking for anybody that needs to refinance their rental property, single family, multifamily, commercial. I kind of specialize in strategically planning, what loan's going to be the best fit for every situation, different property types. And so, definitely anybody looking to refinance that's something that helps me to connect with other investors on another level whenever we can really dive into their portfolios, start crunching numbers. I can start kind of helping them to understand multiple different investment strategies that I see very often from other investors and what other people are doing. And then from there, it tends to stem more conversations about us doing deals together potentially. I've found multiple partners on different types of deals from just doing their loans. So that's definitely something that's helped me to get where I'm at, as well as just the fact that I'm able to be a lender and connect with people on that side of things creates and brings a lot more opportunities my way. So yeah, just reach out and connect, and we'll talk about what I have to offer on that side.
So I'm curious. It might be beating a dead horse, but what's kind of your sentiment with the financial lending markets right now, with what's going on in the Fed? And there's been rumors that they're going to cut rates in 2023. I mean, you're way closer to this. You eat, sleep, and breathe lending. So what's your kind of opinion on what's happening right now and what will happen in the future?
Yeah, so it's obviously it's hard to say what's going to happen in the future with everything going on. I typically try to kind of be a little more conservative on my projections and stuff like that. So what I'm thinking is, I mean, we could potentially, initially what I was thinking is we could end up seeing rates in the double digits by first quarter next year. That's what I was thinking first. But it looks like they're pulling back the reins a little bit now. And so, I mean, it's really hard to say. Like, I'm seeing on some commercial 30-year fixed loans for single and multifamily property, we're seeing rates anywhere from 6.5%. So I think that if they do decide, because the Fed lowers the rate doesn't necessarily mean investors or the lenders are going to lower their rates. It's all all based on their projections of what the Fed's going to do. So if they foresee it being unstable, it's hard to predict where the market's going to go. They may keep lenders themselves may keep rates up a little bit just to cushion themselves from the risk of potentially having the market fall out, which I personally don't foresee the market falling out. Especially where I'm at in Oklahoma, we have a really strong economy. I mean, we've had about 100,000 people move here last year, and so we're starting to see numbers with our population growth equal to like New York and California, and people flooding into Oklahoma City. So, with our housing demand, even though rates are up right now, I'm still seeing investors buying, a lot. And I'm also seeing some of the maybe smaller investors starting to, back out of fear. I'm seeing a lot of people get scared of the market, quit buying. Like I mentioned before, I've slowed down a little bit just to manage what I've got currently, going, but I'm still buying, making offers on deals. So, but yeah, it's really hard to say. I think first quarter, I mean, we'll probably be very similar to where we're at now, unless they change something drastically.
Yeah.
As far as
No, I definitely agree with your sentiment and where you think things are going. What do you think, Tim?
I agree with the part of who knows.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you asked the question, Tim. And guys, we didn't actually plan this. We don't plan this show. Because I was literally doing research on this late last night, and I think I read 6 or 7 different articles, and I read there was like a string of 3 of them, right? And one of them was like, hey, I think Forbes was like, I think rates are going to land somewhere between 5 and 6% by the end of this year. The next article talked about how the Fed had just yesterday hinted at another 3/4 point hike, and then the other, my favorite one, Bright, was, because I think you hit on something there, was the title of the article was something like home prices plummeting, right? And then you read the article, and it's specifically, because you hit on it right there with Oklahoma City, it was certain markets that were dropping, but
Yeah.
then they said in areas like the Sun Belt states, in places with large net in migration, that they're actually continuing to increase. And it's like, who knows what's going on, because so many people are just guessing at this point in time. But if you really, really dive into the numbers, like you said, Oklahoma's a good spot. The Sun Belt states, North Carolina, South Carolina, great spots. Those don't seem to be going anywhere. My opinion, and I'll continue to hold firm to this, I think we're going to settle in sometime next year between 5 and 6%.
I agree with that.
If I was going to sum it all up, I think that's where we'll go.
That's what the rates were like pre-COVID anyway. So like COVID was an anomaly, and oh my God, we're going back to rates like what they used to be. You're right. At the end of the day, when you put it in that perspective, you're like, oh, it's really not that bad then, I guess.
Yeah, rates in the 5s and 6s on investment property is what I would consider normal.
Normal, right? I agree.
We've been getting spoiled for the last year or so with those, interest rates in the 4%. I mean, I was literally at the very beginning of this year, probably January, February, was locking people in at 4% on a year fixed for a rental loan on a single family. And now we're lucky if we can get 6.5 to 7.5%.
Yep.
I mean, we've close to doubled what we're seeing on rate. And I mean, that's different than local banks. Local banks, their rates are based on a little bit different criteria. And so I have seen bank rates still in the 5s or high 5s, potentially low 6s now. But, typically banks, they're going to be, because it's usually like a 5-year fixed, 20-year AM, not a 30-year fixed. It's, they're typically a little bit lower rates. But I'm starting to see a lot more ARMs. Like I think I saw a guy comment about the 5-year fixed. So the adjustable rate mortgages are starting to become a lot more popular. Personally, on my rental portfolio and some other people, we've been doing this hybrid product, which is, basically it's a fixed rate for up to 5, 7, or 10 years. And during the entire fixed period, you're paying interest only payments. And so it allows you to cash flow more than the 30-year fixed.
Mm-hmm.
And then also they allow you to cash out up to 80% of the appraised value instead of 75% of the appraised value. So you pull out more equity so that you can go buy more real estate, and then you keep your monthly expenses lower so that your monthly profits are higher. And so that's going to be what I'm seeing now for at least probably the next 5 to 10 years. At least is my plan to really maximize cash flow and keep growing. Is to go with those types of products, and then as we see rates hopefully cool down in the next few years, then refinance again, maybe onto that 30-year fixed rate mortgage.
Right. Solid plan.
Yeah, I like that. Hey, Tim B, are you in North Carolina?
I don't know, Tim B, are you in North Carolina?
Yes.
We
both are.
Carolina. Tim Vest is in Charlotte, and I'm in Wilmington, North Carolina. And then we have one question real quick. JT said, do you guys think property managers are required for out of state? Bright, have you ever bought anything out of state, or has everything always been local to you?
So I haven't done anything out of state. Farthest I've gone up to is Tulsa, which is about an hour and a half from where I'm at in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
I just made some connections up there from networking, and got a realtor, a couple maintenance guys, and they kind of help handle the deals that I've got going up there. So, but I haven't done out of state yet.
So Tim Vest and I mean, we pretty much buy everything. It's not really out of state. I mean, it is technically out of state, but it's like 3 or 4 hours away. Hiring an external property manager, in my opinion, is absolutely crucial. you're going to spend so much of your time managing a property that's not local to you. It makes it almost impossible to scale. So my personal opinion is interview a lot of property managers and find the best one and pay them what they're worth, because they handle the day-to-day tenants, toilets, and trash, and you can just focus on what makes you money. What makes you money is finding deals and finding investors if you're syndicating and stuff like that. But if you're spending all of your time to save 10%, really you're just paying yourself 10%, and your property doesn't make that much money. It's all how you look at it. It's all perspective. Definitely recommend going with a property management company. And when you're doing apartments and things like Tim Best and I are doing, when you're managing, we got, I don't know, 200 and something doors now and another 200 something under contract. You can't manage all of that yourself. Like, you have to hire people to do it for you. So
don't. Tim hit the key right there. It's like, don't look at it as like paying 10%. Look at it as buying back time, which I don't know how you put a percentage on that. So look at it as buying back time that you can spend doing things that actually make you money.
Yeah. And Ralph said, what are the key things you look for in property managers? I mean, obviously that they are established local in the market. We've had issues with property management company that was based in the Midwest and managing properties in the Southeast. That did not end well. We fired them like within 45 days. We did assume them when we bought the property, they were already on it, so we left them on it. But we quickly learned that doesn't work. So always going with a local property management company, in our experience, worked best. And you really just want to understand their processes and their systems and what their reporting looks like. We work with another property management company, and I'm actually almost like training them to be our other main property management company, because our main property management company does things so well. Like, they have really set the bar for us on what to expect from a property management company. And when we don't get that, we're like training the other property management companies we're working with in order to get there. So, I mean, a lot of it's going to be feel. I mean, you can ask a lot of generic questions, but it really is, if you Google some of the questions that, Bigger Pockets has published on how to interview and hire a property management company, like, all of those are applicable, so don't overcomplicate it. Just follow what other people have done. You're not reinventing the wheel here by any means. So.
Yeah. And I would just add one thing to that. So local market knowledge, which Tim just touched on, being in the market. And then 2, make sure your property manager understands the tenant base you're going after, and that they're familiar with that tenant base. And I'll use an extreme example. If you have student housing, don't hire a property manager that specializes in workforce tenants. Find one that knows the student space and markets to the student space. Otherwise, they're going to struggle.
Yeah, that's huge. Like, you're setting yourself up for failure if you're using a property management company that specializes in student housing on, like a like a LIHTC deal or, workforce housing, whatever. So, all right, Brighton, how can people get in touch with you? I appreciate your time today. Like, people, if they're looking for loans or they're looking to partner with you on stuff in OKC, how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so definitely Facebook is one of my main forms of communication and marketing and stuff. So you can add me on Facebook. It's Brighton Godwin. I think my name's on the screen. So that's how you spell my name. Also, you can send me an email at brighton.godwin@stoutfunding.com. Just shoot me an email with what you're looking for if you're wanting to get some quotes on refinance or fix and flip loan, and then we can start there.
Cool. Hey man, thanks so much for your time today. I appreciate it. Really inspired by your story. Glad we crossed paths at the Mark Evans DM event.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see you again, man.
All right, see you later.
All right, take it easy.
See you guys.